Rats eat eggs.
I need to have something funny to say. I want to be a part of the intro.
Hello, everybody. This podcast is Lava. My name is James Font. With me, as always, Sam Shoemaker, and our very special guest, the unknown artist, a.k.a. Dustin.
A.k.a. Dean Kuhn, a.k.a. Poppy sometimes.
Interesting.
Poppy Gloria?
Poppy Gloria.
Gloria Borger?
Real quick, at the beginning of this podcast, I would like to plug our coasters and stickers. Go get them on Facebook, Instagram, or message us at thispodcastislava@gmail.com.
That was
pretty cool. Yes, I was saying they're really cool. He was saying that was pretty cool.
Really cool.
I'd agree with both of that. Everything's really cool.
This podcast is lava, so it's not cool. It's pretty hot.
Oh, hey, hot take.
So we're doing another Star Wars podcast because I like torturing myself. I like what?
Did we do a full Star Wars podcast before?
Yeah, with Silas. We did a Star Wars podcast with Silas.
You're right. But this is more comprehensive.
100% Star Wars podcast. So if you don't really like Star Wars, or you still haven't even seen Star Wars,
You should watch and learn.
You should watch all 9 movies. Read a couple of the books. Watch all the Clone Wars.
I just meant this. They get a whole.
Just watch this.
Yeah, they get the whole info.
I mean, we're basically like the Star Wars exports.
Anyways,
clearly,
so I'm not gonna be talking a huge amount on this podcast. I will add my 2 cents, but we have Sam, and I didn't know Dustin well enough to know he was that much of a Star Wars nerd, but then he came into my house with 25 lightsabers.
Wait.
Don't
Sam,
forget.
you need to change your lightsaber color.
Right, because green screen.
Perfect.
Fun fact.
Yo, what if it actually cuts out?
Oh, it will.
Fun fact, this is the first lightsaber I ever had as a kid. Not this exact one, but...
You had Dustin's exact lightsaber.
Exactly.
So...
That was the first one I actually got, too.
I know, it's so cool.
So, Sam, now that we have a green screen, what should we put on there for this episode?
Tatooine.
Oh, yes, that would be very nice.
Oh,
Desert planet.
I hate sand. Sand is coarse and it gets
everywhere.
So quick, let's switch to Kashyyyk.
My preferable place, I really like Dathomir, Dathomir, everything trying to kill me, the poisonous air.
I prefer Alderaan. Anyways.
Well, actually, one more.
Okay, one
more specific to our podcast, Mustafar.
Yes, Mustafar is we'll just leave it on Mustafar for a while.
Oh, it's so hot. Ooh.
Oh, no.
Anakin, you were my brother.
Well, you know what? I have the high ground.
Oh, no.
Anyways.
Forbidden Jedi move. No, you're short.
This is phenomenal audio. So if you're listening to audio, you can go watch this on YouTube. James Fox Podcast. Sam, you want to start us out?
Yeah.
The export.
Oh, right. So...
The more you know.
The Windows just powers down. Yeah, so
it's just the blue smiley PC face.
Trying to think of how to phrase that. So guys, what were your formative moments with Star Wars? It sounds cheesy, but like, what was
formative moment? You got it. What?
You should probably introduce that a little bit better.
So what is your formative moment?
What is Star Wars?
What are stars?
What is war?
What is it good for?
War.
Don't
War
choke.
never changes.
Anyway, Sam.
So with this being a Star Wars themed episode, guys, and the three of us, to one degree or another, are Star Wars fans.
I've seen all of the movies. Correct. I've seen all of the canon movies.
Have
like
you seen
even Rogue One?
I've seen Rogue One and Solo. Holy crap, I have seen all
I didn't
of them.
realize you'd seen those, but...
Wait, so how do you not know that much about Star Wars then? Because you said you weren't going to talk
I haven't seen them in a long time.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And
you were
never like... To the degree, like, I was reading Wikipedia pages and
I watched lore videos.
Same.
I did I did actually read 2 Star Wars books.
Republic
Were they the Legends?
No, maybe. I don't know.
Legends isn't canon
You know what
anymore.
they are. I can't remember. They were about Jango Fett.
Oh.
Or no, they weren't about Jango.
Boba Fett. They were like the Boba Fett Adventures.
They were about Boba when he was younger.
Yeah.
Yep.
Boba Fett
He went
Adventures.
to a trash planet. There was a whole thing. I have no recollection of it, but I remember I dreamed about it once.
Did you not? Didn't you read Republic Commando with me?
No.
Not like with me, but like at same time as when I did.
I read the Halo books.
I thought you had. That's right. We read the Halo books together.
We read the Halo books together.
Those were good.
Not.
Those were. We got into those for a while.
They were really good, and then like we got all caught up, and then the next book was coming out in like 4 years. So I was like, all right, I guess I won't read for 4 years.
We just kind of gave up after that. And
I won't read anything else.
Because you have to remember so much lore for those. But
I'll just start
Finally
over.
releases. How do I read?
I should start over the Halo books. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
This is a Star Wars podcast. Go.
Right.
Why don't you do a live reading? One episode, just
No.
read the whole book.
I don't read. I listen to books
Yeah.
on tape and then do other stuff.
There's, on a Star Wars topic,
Audiobooks.
there are good audiobooks for Star
Brought to you
Wars.
by Audible.
I think I read through Dark of the Empire audiobook. I got it on Audible. Pretty good. Not the best, but pretty good. They got a good voice actor, so I think that actually helps the quality.
It does, definitely.
Honestly.
If you get a bad voice actor, you're
Oh.
like, wow, I'm not listening to this.
Or bad audio quality with a good voice actor.
Or bad audio quality, bad voice acting, and bad mixing, which happened with
And a bad book. What if it's just all bad?
Beat me to it.
What if it's
My
a
water.
really good book?
I'm thirsty. What if it's a really
War
good
and
book?
Peace.
Well, I mean, if
Anyways, back to Star Wars.
Samuel L. Jackson reads it, any book can be good.
Oh,
I was just
yeah.
going to say War and Peace read by Morgan Freeman.
There we go.
So, James, why do you like Star Wars? Why did you like Star Wars as a kid?
Why
And
did I like Star Wars as a kid? Probably because you like Star Wars. No.
you liked it before me. Like,
No, the first
before meeting
It's the
me.
only way that I
my
could find
family has
friendship.
always been into sci-fi and stuff, so we had the original trilogy on VHS.
oh,
baby.
yeah.
Yep.
And
Oh,
we
yeah.
used to watch it all the time. And I think the first time I was allowed to watch it, I was like 13, and I was having a week. I don't know. I think I was sick. I was sick.
You were 13? You'd seen Star
No,
Wars.
not 13.
You probably mean like 3
I
or 6.
no, older. I don't remember.
Yeah. You were, because you,
I was younger, and I was
We-
sick that day, and we were watching it, and I was like, wow, these things are. I don't know how to feel in there. We're in the jungle. There's giant walking robots.
little teddy bears with
What is
spears.
going on? This is bizarre. I do like that guy on the speeder bike, though. He's pretty cool.
Especially when
Yeah.
he did the flip and smashed into the tree.
Yeah, that was pretty lit.
All the cool guys die in Star Wars. We've established this.
Yes. I mean, look at what they did.
Ewoks.
Like Luke lived and Darth Vader died.
Jeez.
Cue Alderaan again, please.
So,
Favorite moment? I haven't seen them in so long. Not favorite moment, but favorite.
like what? Well,
Why
like,
did I
yeah.
like
What
Star
did you
Wars?
like Star Wars as a kid? Like,
I
what?
don't know. It's sci-fi.
Adventure.
Sci-fi adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can share. James, you can cut this
Very
out,
bland.
but we could put a picture here of you and I crossing lightsabers on the first time that we hung out when we were 6 or 7.
I assume you understand the the connotations that can be put with that sentence.
So, so James, here, if you feel like putting this in, here's the first picture of us hanging out.
That was the
Back-
first time we ever hung out.
When we were like 7 years old, and clearly
We weren't 7. We met when I was 9. I just got glasses, and I was super excited about it.
you're right. So yeah, this is a picture of us being nerds, basically.
Yeah, we were young nerds.
And then now we're gonna burn that picture.
No, we're gonna keep it. Zoom in on. Look at Sam's
for
cute
it.
little face.
I don't know.
Faded
So,
away
so
particle
yeah, like
effect.
it's adventure, it's exciting. I get that. I think a lot of kids enjoyed that element of it, like
I
swashbuckling.
mean, everybody likes Not everybody, but everybody who likes Star Wars likes Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not always easy to be like
That's
It
a
doesn't
way to
make
phrase
sense,
that, but yeah.
like if people watch it and they don't like it, they're not gonna like it.
right.
Yeah.
It's hard to pinpoint like one thing, like oh that specific thing.
Lightsabers are cool.
Yeah. yeah.
It's literally light and
You
a
can-
saber. You can cut
off an
through
arm.
stuff. One thing I thought was
It's also
silly.
a dark saber.
There are dark sabers. That's not canon. Anyway,
That
It
is
is.
canon.
Is it canon?
It is
Where
canon
it
now.
in the movies?
Mandalorian. Spoiler.
That's not new canon. That's not in the movies. There's a TV show.
But it ties it.
Yeah, TV.
It's weird how it counts, but it counts.
Yeah, because even in like Rebels and stuff now they have them.
yeah.
See,
So-
I watched the holiday special, so
If you go back, we did actually do an episode on the holiday special, and boy, was it juicy.
real juicy.
Why?
It was.
Anyways,
we'll
Dustin,
have to-
why did you like Star
we'll have
Wars?
to revisit that sometime.
I think it was probably one of the actual first series that I got into that was like really creative and kind of out there, got my imagination flowing. I don't know. I've just always kind of liked space and the idea of having literal lasers that you could run around with, having your cloaks and your capes and run around as the cool good guys or bad guys, you know.
And then
beating
you
each
did it
other
in real
up.
life, and then you realized you looked ridiculous in your black
Oh, no.
cloak.
With
That-
your
it's
laser
never
pointer?
ended. Why do you think I wear hoodies all the time?
No. I got really into Assassin's Creed, and like, so I'd wear my hood like that and like jump
yeah.
around,
I
climb
just sit
trees
on the
and be
roof. Catch me, hey.
like- I jumped into the hay, broke my leg in 6 places. It was great.
You're like at the top of a barn and you're just like, hey, mom and dad, look at this.
I
You're like, don't do it, Johnny.
I legitimately built my own stealth blade.
I remember
one,
that. That was pretty legit.
It's that one meme where the kid's running
Actually, I
around.
didn't
She's
know
like,
that.
"What do you
Chase
got?
did.
A knife? No!"
A knife. Yeah.
Star Wars, sorry.
No,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think we all did that though.
But no, but yeah.
yeah.
You and I used to do the same thing though. We'd run around the backyard with toy lightsabers, our toy blaster rifles,
CPVC pipe with duct tape on it, and then you beat each
a
other with
stick
it.
that vaguely looks like a blaster rifle. You know,
Yeah.
if you're in a pinch, that's what you'd use. Yeah.
Just use a tree branch.
One of my fondest memories of it has something to do with Star Wars. We've actually talked about it before on this podcast. Is Sam and I were playing in a treehouse, and we might have been playing Star Wars for all I know. I don't know, but I had a computer that was able to run the original Star Wars Battlefront 2.
I did not.
He did not. So he was over at my house. We were playing in the backyard.
I have to ask, did you
And-
use the cheat codes?
Yes, all the time.
Oh yeah.
And so he was like, "Oh, I had gloves on." So I was like, "All right, I'm going to go down this rope." Went down the rope. And then Sam was like, "I'm going to do the exact same thing, but hand over hand it because I'm so strong and I have a very good core."
And I'm not afraid of heights at all, so I wouldn't freeze at the top of a 20-foot rope in a tree.
So anyways, he
No.
basically fried his hands. And the point of the story is we played Star Wars Republic Commando. We played Star Wars Battlefront 2. And every time he wanted to play, he had to hold a bottle of ice. And then he would play for a little bit, and then he'd hold a bottle of ice because his hands were all blistery.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite Star Wars moments.
That's a great memory though, honestly. It's classic.
It's engraved in my brain.
You and I have two very different definitions of great.
Well, we took turns like every death or something, or every 5 deaths, and then
Sam was a jerk because he wouldn't die.
I know I was just so good at it, right?
Invincibility cheat code.
Dog mode.
I haven't
Yeah.
died.
Weird.
Yeah,
Sam, what was one of your favorite Star Wars moments? That's not the question, but it's okay.
I know what the
Why
question.
do you like
yeah.
Star Wars?
Yeah, probably the exact same reasons. Just like
Running around with the cloak on,
yeah, as a
beating your
kid,
dog with
as a
stick.
kid who didn't want to be a stormtrooper, who didn't want to be Luke Skywalker. I
I
think
just wanted a cool Jedi robe on. I didn't want to be a stormtrooper.
I always wanted to be Han Solo because Han Solo.
Really?
He
I
didn't
grew-
have a side. He
well-
was in the gray.
Exactly. I grew
There
up.
are gray Jedi.
I grew up with a lot of westerns. I loved westerns, and so Han
Indiana
Solo.
Jones.
No, actually,
You never did Indiana Jones.
not until I was older.
Yeah.
I started out with more Star Wars westerns, things like that, and so
Okay.
like the Lone Ranger, right? So Han
Yeah.
Solo is kind of like a gray version of the Lone Ranger because he's actually
He's the
bad,
lone solo.
or he's got like
He does bad and good things, but he just does whatever to
Yeah.
get paid.
yeah, he's kind of like a chaotic neutral.
Yeah.
I know they portray him differently in different lore, so whatever, but that's how I perceived him as a kid. So like Han Solo, the swashbuckling, blaster-wielding cowboy was like, that's cool. I like that. And then from there, like the Clone Wars, not the series, but like Attack of the Clones came out, and I fell in love with like Clone Troopers. And so, I mean, yeah, it's been a process. Just like as a kid, it was cool. And then I've just continually liked it up until now for no other reason than I'm a
So,
huge nerd. I
Is
don't
he
know.
still your favorite?
Who? Han Solo?
Yeah.
He's up there.
Who's
think
your absolute favorite character? That's on to our next question.
that's
Yeah,
yeah.
that is the next one.
What's your
um,
favorite character?
Time to switch. Wow, that was
generically troopers. I'm a sucker for just a good armored like stormtrooper, clone trooper, scout trooper.
My only problem is it looks like it's plastic. How does that do anything?
And it never
What-
protects them, right? Like they get
No.
shot like full in the chest, they die. And, like,
instantly.
So
what
does it
was the
do?
good?
Jedi gets hit in the shoulder. I'm still good.
Oh, it's so
Get shot right in the face.
Force heals. I'm good now. Let's go.
Even though Force Heal wasn't technically canon for a long time.
Plot device.
Oh,
Anytime something happens that obviously, we're going to heal this snake, that's something I can do because I'm Rey and I'm magic.
snake.
With no
That's
prior.
an understatement.
It's a snack.
Yeah.
It's a bull snack.
Just giant tendril.
So if we have to go with like a named character,
Yeah.
mm,
I feel like you just like the comedy of the
I like the
Stormtroopers
big,
too.
the
they're,
comedy.
they're a bit slapsticky.
Yeah.
Same with the stormtrooper or clone troopers. They get like clone storms. They all kind of have a little bit of slapstick.
I love in episode 2 how it's all like PS2 graphics. It's just like the entire movie's PS2. It holds up really well.
Looks so real.
PS1 graphics.
It's hard to say for a favorite character. I've got a lot. So off the top of my head, I'm going to have to say like
I like
Obi-Wan
Kim
Kenobi
Jong-un.
between Alec Guinness and Ewan McGregor. Like
Okay.
the movie representations of them. I especially like Alec Guinness with his more sensei like attitude. He's very like reserved, very
More Yoda oriented.
Yeah, he's more Yoda wise. You know, he's portrayed by a fantastic
Definitely
actor.
Baby Yoda.
The door is over there, and you can.
I was
'Cause
invited.
You know what song is now in my head?
Yep.
The
Mandalorian
Star Wars
theme
theme
song.
Gummy Bear song.
So, James, what's your favorite character?
I'd go to Dustin.
We'll give you a pass for 3 seconds. Dustin, what's your favorite Star Wars character?
So it's been 3 seconds.
Yeah.
No.
Stormtrooper number 6.
Scene 7, frame 5. That stormtrooper right there that falls into the pit.
3 seconds and
That's
42
actually my
milliseconds.
Uncle Garrett.
The one that gets hit by the Ewok with a club.
Okay, wait, real quick before doing the characters. Have you guys ever actually heard Darth Vader's voice lines in the original 3 movies before they did the voiceover for him? Do you
I
ever
think I
hear that?
have. It's like a super.
Please insert that here. Just one of those clips, please.
Start tearing this ship apart piece by piece until you find those tapes. Find the passengers of this vessel. I want them alive.
Because like nowadays, a lot of times they'll have like the proper voice actor off to the side of the set or something, but
Or just
you don't-
voice over it like,
and
podcasts.
they did voice over it in the Star Wars movies, but you don't think about like it's not James Earl Jones in that suit voicing the character. It's like a 7 foot tall white guy. You know, he's not gonna have the same voice. So it's funny to think like you have to project that character as you're acting against him. Like, oh, he's super menacing, but he talks like this. Princess Leia, go to your quarters.
Isn't that what
That's what they did. They did that whole scene in that first
so good.
opening where he blew open the thing and
Yeah,
captured her.
yeah.
So that was the clips that I had seen of it. It's so
Isn't that
funny.
what they do in Spaceballs to make fun of him?
Yeah.
They just have the really high pitched squeaky guy.
That's perfect.
He lifts up his
Anyways,
hood.
what's your-
We've been jammed. Sorry.
So yeah, what's your favorite character?
Yeah, so not just movies, like entire movie verse, right?
Yeah,
I
the
would say
canon film.
Probably like top 2 would be Obi-Wan, like you had said, or Ahsoka.
That's fair.
Ahsoka is a really well-built character, in all honesty, just throughout the whole series.
Yeah.
Just a
Explain Ahsoka to us plebes.
plebes.
Or normies.
Yeah, the plebeians.
Those that have
Um,
not seen the Clone Wars.
Pretty much Ahsoka was Anakin's Padawan before everything. It's like the filler between through episode 2 into episode 3.
Essentially,
It's that filler area there. And she's like his Padawan before everything starts going bad. And she's kind of like that free-spirited, kind of like Anakin, but gets in more trouble type of thing. And she, throughout the series, gets a lot
She
more.
talk about sand a lot.
I hate to say,
No.
Master Anakin.
But she talks about how annoying rules are.
Rules are annoying sometimes.
But she starts getting a lot more, I guess, disciplined throughout the series. And eventually, can I do spoilers?
Yeah, I mean, she matures as a character, which
she gets blamed actually for having this whole
that's right.
bombing go off, and it ends up turning out to be somebody else, and she ends up deciding to leave the Jedi Order. That's why you don't see her at all in episode 3, but she leaves the Jedi Order because she was kind of originally banished, and then she came back, and they were going to welcome her back in because they found out it was somebody else, and Anakin proved her innocence through a lot of murder. But yeah, so she ended up being innocent, but then
I
she
proved your innocence. I murdered like 17 people.
Mostly children. Because I'm Anakin.
There wasn't just 17.
Real quick, shout out to Corridor Crew for doing a Star Wars rated R.
R-rated Star
Pretty
Wars.
Great. You should go watch
Wait,
it.
I haven't even. What?
We'll show you.
Well, yeah,
They make Star Wars R-rated, except one thing that was a little frustrating is they had laser bolts and then they added blood to it, which there shouldn't be any blood if you're getting shot with lasers. Anyways,
Because that
doesn't
would
matter.
fry.
Yeah, it would cauterize as it
Okay.
goes through your body. Anyways, favorite character.
Unless shrapnel.
General Grievous is my favorite character.
would
Not
say-
really, kinda. He's pretty sweet.
Yeah,
I had the action figure. The action figure's garbage because it's literally like putting a bunch of toothpicks together. That's what it was, and so it fell apart and broke. And then I got another one and it broke. But General Grievous, I
They've made some improvements to
he's
those
I
figures.
think he's a pretty cool guy. I had the Lego General
The
Grievous.
big one?
No, the
The
Lego,
little, like, the
little
minifigure.
figure.
Okay.
That was
Super
epic,
cool.
yeah.
They did a really good job with that. So that's just off the top of my head, one of my favorite characters from the Star Wars movies that I've seen.
And
Did you seen all the prior lore to him too?
No.
It's really good stuff. You should.
Okay, let me set where I am.
Episode 3.
James is like, I do not care.
I have seen the movies.
Mhm.
That's it.
Have you seen? Did you ever watch the animated Clone Wars, like the first
2D.
one?
I've seen the movies.
All right, we're good. We're clear.
I had the
I've
figure of
seen-
that actually. The 2D animated one. They had a figure series.
11
It was really cool.
movies.
I have some of them.
I also
General
have
Grievous is
I have
bonus.
one of them.
You have one of the
Two of them.
like the early animated,
I
or
think so.
I don't think you have those ones. They're like statues. They don't even move.
Oh, I have no
They
idea.
their arms are the only. The arms and heads
Yeah.
are the only things. That
Then
move
I
on.
don't.
I have the ARC Trooper from
Really.
from the great scene where the ARC Troopers try and capture General Grievous. That is the most like BA scene in the show.
Yeah.
Because like the clone troopers just jump out. They have like
BA
all these
Barrettas.
miniguns and they try and destroy him. And then he's just like,
It ain't happening
Yeah.
today,
But you
Chief.
see, I have 4 lightsabers. Have you seen what that guy can do with one?
they definitely like buff General Grievous in that animated series
Oh, very
versus like in the movie he's pretty terrifying, but in the animated series he just like murders Jedi like willy-nilly. Like,
Did you
"Yeah,
actually know he comes back eventually, technically too?
Well, he's just
After
he's
episode
a
3?
cyborg.
really?
It wasn't him though. They just found a carcass of him and ended up putting a droid into it, like a mind into it. But they
Oh.
had the whole thing and they redid it. But it was in one of the comic series.
I
It's
never read
it's
that.
also like what they did with Darth Maul. So,
In Emperor
Well, Darth
Sidious,
Maul actually lived though. Was the difference?
oh, I guess.
they also brought the Emperor back in non-canon, and then they brought him back in canon.
And you're like, wow, this makes zero
Yeah.
sense.
He's
And
the best.
lit.
Technically, Darth Maul is back in canon.
He's better than Where's
Okay,
Waldo.
so real quick, I just want to
He's
bring
been
up,
hiding for so long.
bring up something. If you're in the middle of the ocean, like you're way underwater, like in a submarine,
I'm confused where you're going with
and that
this.
submarine
too.
explodes.
Yeah.
What are the statistics that you're gonna live? You're in the middle of the ocean. You're like 10. I don't know how deep the ocean is. How deep is the ocean?
Depends on where you're at.
The deepest part of
the
the
deepest
ocean.
part of the
We'll
ocean
just
is
say
I
the
think
Mariana Trench, isn't it?
7 miles, I think.
That's it.
No, it was way more than
No.
that.
It's way deeper.
I don't
Way
think it
more
is.
than that.
Whatever. I don't care. Anyways,
Hold on, we're gonna
I just-
research.
Because I just
Phone,
I
where'd you
just
go?
did I just
Oh,
was
no.
listening to a thing about this where if you flatten out the highest peak and the lowest pit and you shrunk the Earth down to the size of a cue ball, it would be smoother than a cue ball.
Yep.
And I
I've
think
heard
it's like Mount Everest is like 2 miles high. What was I listening to? Was it Joe Rogan? It's probably Joe Rogan.
Or is it Rooster Teeth podcast? Did you know that Joe Rogan did a podcast with John Downey
It wasn't.
Jr.?
It wasn't Rooster Teeth. It was something else.
Challenger Deep is apparently the deepest part, and it's 36,200 feet.
That's only a few miles because
Yeah, 5,000.
Anyways.
it's about 7 miles.
Yeah,
So
he's
it's
got
weird.
us.
It's weird to think about that because you can't go 7 miles deep into the Earth's crust.
Anyway,
Yeah.
no, we probably could actually in the crust, but we couldn't do it.
I think the
underwater.
farthest we've gone is 2 or 3, isn't it?
I thought we've gone further down. in-
3. The crust is only 10 miles deep.
Yeah.
And so on a paper globe, I'm sorry, another fun fact, on a paper globe, the paper, if you scaled it to Earth, would actually be too thick to represent the Earth's crust. That is the weirdest fact I've ever thought of. So like when an earthquake is moving the crust, it's moving 10 miles of crust, and to a scale model of the Earth, the paper is too thick.
And we think we can change the Earth's polarity. Anyways,
We're kind of bringing it back to Star Wars then. So your favorite character was General Grievous.
but you made his reference of
I,
deep
I
and
will just
submarine.
cut that. I'm just pointing out that you're in space. That's the equivalent to being underwater.
Yeah.
Sure.
You're dead.
yeah.
Yeah. And
Death Star explodes. You're not going nowhere.
well, okay, so correct me if I'm wrong, Star Wars nerds that are more nerdy than I am. I heard, and this is kind of stupid in my opinion, that the Emperor we see in Rise of Skywalker
Although I will say, continue, Sam.
the Emperor we see in Rise of Skywalker is the real Emperor. He's the physical Emperor. The Emperor that we see in episodes 1 through 6 is a clone to the same degree that Snoke was a clone.
What?
If that is true, like, so the Emperor was always like a husk, a crippled body. If
On a Gladys arm.
that is true, I legit hate that because it defeats the entire like
purpose of everything.
the intensity of
I just
episodes
wanna-
1 through 6. I could be wrong about that, but that's just something
we'll
I
get
heard.
to that eventually.
So Dustin has a test or something for us for this episode.
I do. So actually, I prepped, because I brought my 20
Brought all his
ridiculous
20
lightsabers, which aren't fully in here. But I brought a. Now Clash.
The green screen.
I always grab the green one.
But pretty much, I brought a quiz that lets us determine our lightsaber colors.
I have
and-
purple currently, but depending on our answers,
I could have heliotrope for all I know.
what the heck is that?
You're so extra. But basically, this is a test that includes all canon lightsaber colors. It's actually from a channel called Leia's Lair. Where they talk about Star Wars stuff a lot, and they have the quiz on there. You guys can go check it out if you want to.
Link in the description down below.
Yep. And if you want to play along, do it. Tell us what you got down below in the comments, and have fun with us.
So we're gonna do the test, and I'm gonna do this, and we finished the test.
Man, guys, that was so fast.
Amazing.
So
Thanks for
fast.
sticking
So-
with us that
yeah.
whole time. It was
That was really long.
time flies when you're having
so
fun.
I
though.
got number 34, which means what?
Okay, so say your numbers really quick.
31.
34.
I had gotten 45. So basically, what this is on a
He's
scale,
a Sith.
basically,
More
what it
Sith
is,
than us.
if you guys already did the test, then you already know. If you got 1, you're closer to being like perfect, or 10, I guess. 10 would be the lowest you could technically get.
Yeah.
10 would be like a pure-hearted Jedi to absolute Sith Lord, depending on what number that you got and what you
got
voted for.
100. Or is there a
Sis-
10 answer?
No.
They're just 7.
70.
7.
70.
If
Yeah.
you got 70, you're pure evil.
Yeah,
You
basically.
literally. No, I'm not going to make those jokes.
Darth
Anyways.
Plagueis the Wise.
Yeah. So, for the
Such a nerd.
I know.
because I actually screenshotted them from the video, by the way. So if you had 10 to 17, it was green. So what or numbers did you guys get?
I had
31.
34.
16 or 8? Yeah, 18 to 25 was yellow. 26 to 34 was blue.
Sick, we got the most generic lightsaber.
Well, look, generic Jedi blue.
Wow.
Jedi Knights.
All right, I'm just gonna hold on to this forever now.
Wow. I got
Wow, I
the
called
purple.
that. 35 to 45 white.
You
Gosh,
he
dang
got
it.
white. You, wait.
I was this close to a gray Jedi.
There we go.
There we
Mine's so much longer than yours.
Hey, shut up.
So pretty much we predict. Did we keep the predictions in there?
Oh
just to clarify?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Okay. We're just gonna say we did.
So we were pretty close to the predictions, kind of.
Yeah, because I said, what did I say?
No,
I said,
we said what we wanted to be. We didn't
right,
predict.
because I said I wanted to be
Yeah.
yellow, but I assumed I'd probably be like blue or green though.
If you would have
So-
stayed more wholesome like you originally planned to, you would have gotten it.
Yeah,
it was
yellow
18 to
18.
25.
Well, right, but I wanted to get white. I wanted to be gray or yellow.
Well, apparently I hit that point.
Yeah, well, whatever.
So you're right in the middle. You're like, I'd kill some people.
And 46 to 54 was purple, and then 55, 62 is dark saber, then 63 to 70 was red.
Okay, so there was no, or was there yellow?
yeah, in the
It
beginning.
Yellow
was,
was
it
the
was
very-
the second. It was the second one right
Okay.
after green.
Gotcha.
Because it was the console, so they're the protectors of the green.
And
Jedi
then
Star
white
Knight,
is
and
like
then
the
blue
gray
is the
Jedi.
Knights. Yeah.
Which technically gray Jedi aren't canon or something. I
Yes,
don't
they
know.
are. Ahsoka is.
Whatever. I don't know.
It's
I can't.
official now.
I can't keep up with all this crap.
I know they keep saying that it's not canon, and then all of a sudden they just pull it out of nowhere, and they're just like, "Whoops, our bad." Because Ahsoka and Rebels actually pulled out 2 white lightsabers. And that's
Right.
what I was gonna say was one of my favorite moments, but that's a spoiler right there. Anyways,
That's a spoiler.
You whippity whip out my white lightsabers.
All right. What?
Wait a minute.
Anyways,
Why is
yeah.
there 2? So I kind of actually had a question for you guys, if you don't mind me asking.
I
is,
do
Let's
mind.
do it.
Guess I'll just go.
No, let's go for it. Go for it.
No, so I was kind of curious. What do you guys kind of hope to see? You know, like we talked about the lightsabers, we talked about everything kind of so far, and
Why
all
we
that.
like Star Wars.
Yeah,
Yeah, why
pretty
we like
much.
Star Wars.
So, what do you guys kind of like hope to see out of the future side of it? Whether it be movies, because 9 just came out, The Rise of Skywalker just came out, and it kind of left
Or
you.
the fall of Skywalker, depending on who you are.
If you're part of the fandom menace,
But if you guys watch that, it kind of leaves on a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Right. So, what do you guys kind of hope to see? And they just came out with Jedi Fallen Order, which was an amazing game. And
off the back of many bad Star Wars games.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
that's the problem with the EA
At
titles.
release.
Yeah.
At release.
They're good games. They just came out bad.
Yeah. They release them half baked and then they start actually creating a good game.
so it doesn't have Galactic
So-
Conquest in it.
Yeah, it's an issue. Or instant action.
Anyways, before
Yeah.
I get heated.
I know. I know.
So, my opinion as a how do I say this nicely? Non-super nerd of Star Wars. I enjoy Star Wars. I like watching it. Unfortunately, I get sucked into the real world politics of it, which is a little frustrating. So frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
And I watch a lot of world class bullshitters on YouTube, and they have a very skewed opinion on the new Star Wars movies.
They hate it.
and my brother said one of the, I mean, it's very cheesy and very generic, but he's like, the Disney Star Wars movies are Disney movies.
Yeah.
That are around Star Wars.
Yeah.
If you watch any Disney movie, like there's a princess that is either in danger or is really powerful, and then there's a guy, maybe
he's
Prince
either being
Charming,
rescued or
possibly,
rescuing.
Rescuing. Yeah. So it's like
Or
it's,
like
it's
with
new Disney.
Or like with Frozen, where she doesn't have a Prince Charming, so she kind of like finds her power. I'd almost say that Star Wars, the modern Star Wars, is more Frozen.
Literally
Yeah.
Frozen, because it's like, hey, so she can create life.
And literally Endgame, because the ending is just Endgame. So,
anyways,
so you enjoy
quick,
like the
2 minutes. Like, what are your thoughts about the new 5 movies? I know it's not much time, not 2 minutes, but
I mean, so
Plus, you could even include the series on that too. The Mandalorian that just came out a little bit ago, and Baby Yoda, which is actually the child. Please don't call it Baby Yoda.
so we'll start there.
younger species of Yoda.
Yeah,
The younger
Kinda.
unnamed species of Yoda infant is
We'll call him Steve.
adorable. It's a puppet. I like practical effects. I think that's
Yeah.
cool. The meme is just stop.
when a small child coughs.
When you want those chicken nuggies, I literally see that meme
Everywhere.
just filling my feed, and I hate it so much because
It was funny the first time.
it was kind of funny the first time.
You and
Yeah,
The
I
first
breathe.
time.
I
Wait, have
breathe
you
a little
watched
through
the
my
actual
nose.
series though?
Yeah, dude,
I love it.
I'll say off the bat, like I love the Mandalorian series.
Yeah.
I think it fits really well with the Rogue One and Solo, like grittier Star Wars, which is what I like.
Yes.
And it also feels, partially because the creators of it, Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, are both kind of Star Wars nerds at their heart. And for the case of Dave Filoni, he's actually met and talked with George Lucas, and he really cares about the lore. He showed that with the Clone Wars. He showed that with Rebels. So him doing The Mandalorian was perfect, because while it's not perfect, it has its flaws and slower episodes, whatever.
It also kind of just jumps between episodes sometimes. Too,
Yeah,
which felt a little like I was. If you guys have watched it, there's an episode where it goes from him being on like a desert planet and fighting off bounty hunters to going straight to like a prison episode. And I'm like, did I miss something? And I went back.
Yeah. So it has its issues, right? But like,
Yeah.
first of all, I feel like every show, the first season's a little choppy. Like if you watch The Office, The Office first season is funny.
It drags.
It's funny, but it's not The Office.
Yeah.
It hits stride the next season. So
see, White Collar was the opposite for me.
I've never watched it, but
White Collar first season is really good. I know this is way off topic, but White Collar the second season.
it all depends. But a lot
Everybody's gonna be screaming at you in the gun.
Chaos, guys! I need to plug Chaos. It's about the CIA. It got canceled on its 6th episode, and it's never been released.
Firefly, guys. Firefly needs to come
Nathan
back.
Fillion, where did he go?
Dude,
Family Guy. It got canceled.
It's probably for the best.
Lost. Should it have been 7 seasons?
All right, sorry. So I took the train. I drove it off the track. Sam.
No, you're fine.
The first season.
So The Mandalorian, I really enjoyed it. I felt like it
And the
was
Obi-Wan Kenobi
good.
series is coming out too.
Yeah, I feel like it was good.
Who are they gonna get to play him? Are they gonna
It's
get?
him.
Ewan McGregor.
Okay,
he's
Ewan McGregor.
actually.
He wasn't allowed to talk about it.
I know nothing about
No,
it.
that's-
He's
fine.
just started getting interviewed again, but
Okay.
they keep saying, and he sounded like he was a whiny child on some of the interviews too, because he's just like, oh, if they invite me back, but they did, and they've been talking to him for a long time, but he was trying to like fake it, and he's like, now everybody thinks that I just cry about it all the time, but actually I just wasn't allowed to talk
For
about it.
4 years, he
Yeah.
kept it a secret that they were bringing him back.
So are they gonna bring you back, Mr. McGregor?
It's just maybe if they invite me.
You're kind
They weren't a bunch of losers. So
those darn Disney guys. I don't know if they'll get me back.
So
Big
I-
boppity boo.
I really actually liked Baby Yoda as a character. It was an interesting.
Unnamed,
child.
unnamed Yoda
The
creature.
child.
I'm sorry, pop
You see
culture
this
has
green
affected
screen?
me.
He better be there, and he better be eating that frog.
Was that the puffer fish? Oh.
Eating a carrot.
Oh.
Quick, this has been over in like 5
Yeah,
minutes.
I'm sorry. So I actually like the character of the child.
Where you're seeing the Mandalorian going, you want more of that and less
The grunge.
cinematic. You want less cinematic Star Wars that we've been seeing.
I want
You would
less
prefer-
Marvel Star Wars, where it's like
Ooh, that's a good way.
Yeah.
hashed out big blockbuster, because the original movies, I know you can never recreate those in the 70s, low budget kind of things, but it was more something about it was just more whimsical
Enthralling.
and enthralling.
Yeah.
And I know that's probably a little bit of nostalgia. I know I have a little bit of a bias with that. But even the prequels capture
You should
that.
go watch the new Lion King.
Yeah, and so the new movies I feel like are just too flashy.
Stab myself
They're
in
too
the
much
foot.
like Transformers. They're trying to appeal to they're trying to appeal to too many people to bring all of the audiences in.
They're
And make-
ticking off their.
It's
They
a
make
lot
this,
less
make
lore
money.
oriented, and it's more about here's some strong character for everybody to look up to of every group, which is good that they have the cultural diversity, but it's also like
When you're trying, it's good
Your
to be
diehard
diverse.
fans are not gonna like it.
if it's not lore based, if it's not grungy, it's not Star Wars. It's
Well,
not,
and here's
it
the
just
thing:
isn't.
if the purpose of it is through a lore-based story,
Mm-hmm.
you introduce characters that are diverse and that a lot of people can relate to. That's perfect. But if you go the other
Yeah.
way around and you create characters that are diverse and a lot of people can relate to, and then you just try and like cram a little bit of lore on top of that,
it's not as good.
it actually distances your original fan base.
Yep.
So I'm all for diversity. I'd like to see that more in Star Wars because it's important, but I just want to see it done right.
Right.
And
We need more. The
We-
Mandalorian. I would say the Mandalorian is the Joker of Star Wars movies.
please stop doing whatever you're doing with your hands. It's not cool.
It's the Dark Knight of Star Wars
The Dark
movies.
Knight.
Yeah.
I guess not the Joker.
Except
Joker's still, it just wasn't as brutal until the end.
That's what I'm saying.
hot
Yeah.
take. The baby Yoda meme, because that's what it's called. Don't correct me. I know it's called the child, but the baby Yoda meme, which is what it's known generically by people that don't watch Star Wars,
care.
it is the minion meme that middle-aged soccer
Yeah.
moms share on their Facebook page. But now it's just a little green guy going, "I want my chicken nuggies."
Dustin, what's your hot take?
murder. That's my favorite one. I like that
That's
one.
pretty good, but I just want the rest of the memes to die, please. PewDiePie reviewed it, so now it will be dead, right?
That's
right?
generally how it works, yeah.
Please.
You're a Zoomer, aren't you?
Yep.
Dustin,
What's your hot take?
what's your hot take on the new Star Wars, and what do you hope for the future?
I've been hoping for a Kenobi movie or like a series for like a long time.
Cool, because there's
And-
a ton of lore backing him.
Hey, I got some
Yeah.
good news for you. There's a Kenobi show coming out.
Wow, it's almost like I told you that. I've been hoping for that for a long
Conor
time.
McGregor.
So wait a minute.
Actually,
The featherweight champion of UFC.
But I've been hoping for something like that for a long time. So that was pretty cool, actually, having that pop out of nowhere. That was just announced a couple weeks ago, I think.
It's amazing how they
So-
can keep those secrets.
Yeah, I know. Well,
Which
I
is
mean,
rare. Usually
unless
everything is
Tom
leaked.
Holland's involved, you know. But no, I don't know. That's something I've been hoping for a long time. And then like the Rebels and the Clone Wars era kind of covered what my hopes were for those in between areas. So I guess I would like to see more of the in between stuff, kind of like what we're getting with Rogue One, what we're kind of getting with like the Solo movie, even though I haven't seen it. But we're
Yeah.
getting like more of that in between
Better
kind of
solo
stuff.
movies that makes more money
Yeah.
because it's actually good.
And I mean that's what the Mandalorian is too. It's post like
They even
episode 3.
mentioned the
It's like
holiday special.
after
they did.
yeah, and so it's like I don't know. It's just that in between area and the grungy stuff. I want more of that, like what you're talking about with
Realism,
Mandalorian. It's,
yeah.
it's realistic. It's not so much like the heroes always win by supreme luck, like
Yeah.
Rey just magically. In the new one, like I like the most recent movie. I know we were going to talk about that or whatnot, but we can talk about that later. But on Rise of Skywalker, everything just kind of fell into place for her, and it was kind of annoying. Like I like the
Convenience,
lore
like
portion.
plot convenience.
Yeah, I think that's the reason
Oh,
why
we
it's
fell in this hole. Oh, we found this dagger. Oh,
Oops.
this dagger
Yeah.
took us to the right place.
And-
Oh, all of this is way hack'em.
If the dagger was not in that movie, I would have liked the movie almost 50% more.
Yeah.
The dagger was
You have to find
the
an artifact
big-
to
the-
take
They
it
couldn't
to
even
this
said
place.
like Death Star reawakened some beacon or something and it just started going off.
Yeah.
That would have made more sense
And
because the
also-
electrical.
anything would have made more sense than that
then-
Uncharted dagger from National Treasure.
Yeah.
And then
From Uncharted.
the other thing is the fact that let's put the fact that we add here. C-3PO can't read it.
Well, no,
That
Let's make-
actually made sense though because Sith language.
It does, but
But
it
that didn't bother
added
me.
so much.
that was fine, right? That was fine.
I think he's talking about the time that it took to.
It
No,
took-
I know, but that was fine.
And
He
then there was
loses
no-
his memory, which was great. It was this emotional moment where he dies,
there's
Because it's like
and then
Anakin-
there's no consequences. There's no consequences to the
Like when
whole
you die in a
movie.
video game
Because it's
instead of dying
Anakin
in real
and-
life.
Anakin ended up getting forgotten about with Darth Vader and
No, it
C-3PO when
hurt
it
me.
went
It's great.
from
Yeah.
3 to 4.
Yeah.
So because they wiped the droid's memory at the end of the movie, which made sense. It would have made sense for this too, and then maybe
would be-
Rey meets back up. It would
It'd
have
be
been cool.
tragic. It'd be a sad end
Yeah.
to the
And then
character.
when they make 10, it can be a whole new cast of new characters. It could be the kid from the.
They
what
kill-
is this? Oh crap! What is the other movie? The middle movie.
Rogue One.
No,
Anakin?
sorry. Oh, good lord, no!
I'm so confused. The kid.
After the Force Awakens. I
Oh,
can't-
the last Jedi. Oh, the Force kid from the Last
the
Jedi.
Force- maybe it's
Broom
the
kid.
Force
It could be Broom kid.
It could be Broom
Wait,
Kid.
what?
from
What did I miss?
The Last
Broom kid
Jedi.
could be in episode 10. It could center around the Broom kid, and he
Oh,
brings back the
it was when
memory
they
of
were in
C-3PO.
that, the
The-
race thing
The
area,
whole
wasn't
garbage scene of
When-
them in the stupid
the casino
the
scene,
casino
where they're
planet.
like, well, the kids are still enslaved, but at least we saved this herd of deer. Like, that was so stinking stupid.
that whole. Oh my gosh. Anyways, so
I'm not actually that worked up over Star Wars, but it's fun
we
to be
cut
that
Dustin,
character.
We cut Dustin way
I'm
off.
sorry. It's fun to be that mean character that's like,
Who can say?
Mm,
No, I don't know. The recent movies, I think the only reason I liked the most recent one, Rise of Skywalker, was just because it was so lore oriented. So I want to see more lore shoved into stuff. Like for
Yeah.
example, with Sidious at the end of it, having like the soul stealing stuff. That was more book oriented things, you know.
Right.
So it's seeing more of that type of content is what I kind of want. Not so much like what we were talking about. It was pretty cringy. Like the whole story was kind of like, it was cheesy.
yeah.
Just the whole thing, it was really pushed.
It was
So I
very
wanna
contrived.
I
Yeah.
want to see more lore. I want to see more grunge, more like the Legends books with like the whole Abeloth thing. Seeing something like that, or like the Clone Wars stuff with having the ones and having all that stuff kind of just
Mhm.
show up throughout the series. That was cool.
I want a movie that starts off right, like, like a week before The Rise of Skywalker, where it shows Ren searching for the triangle.
Actually,
That would
better
actually,
yet,
make sense.
better yet.
But but the beginning scene was sick.
So you're right. No, you're right. And you know
That
what?
was such a cool scene.
That
That
was
was
actually-
showing how brutal he is and how good of a fighter he is. And it was like, this is a movie. Oh, that's over.
That song,
Yeah.
that scene was longer, and they cut it. They cut
Yeah,
it down.
It was a
So
lot longer.
They've been talking about for a little bit now the
The Abrams cut.
Abrams cut.
Yep.
I hope they actually do release it, even if
I
it is a
don't want
cash
it
grab.
in movie theaters. I want it on
No,
disc.
I want it on disc. I
Yeah.
want it as like a bonus feature.
They will definitely do theaters.
I hope they do.
Marvel did. Why can't we?
Oh
Wait.
I'm not going to complain if
We
they
didn't
do.
make
I know it's
$2 billion.
I know it's a cash grab.
They are Marvel. Remember?
No, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
That's
my
But
joke.
They didn't make $2 billion.
I know it's a
Yeah.
cash grab, but I would watch it just because that, like you said, that scene is very pivotal, and they're just like a 5-second blip of him murdering a bunch of people, and you don't really get a context with it. But you know what I'd like even
I
better?
was very confused.
Same.
You can get the horn.
Freaking train.
The horn.
Yeah, I know. Because
This the track, it going over the tracks kind of gets in the audio, but
Yeah.
not as bad as the horn will 100%.
Yeah.
yeah.
So you know what I'd like to see? The series that is actually, it could just be a web episode, like a webisode. Post Rise of Skywalker, the entire movie was C-3PO's fever dream,
And then they make a do-over.
and then they just redo it.
I love it. That'd be great.
Yeah, I support that. But
I say they make a new holiday special. But
yeah,
with the little guy that works on C-3PO.
mix,
But I
mix,
wanna see-
stir.
I wanna see more of his
stir,
life.
Can
whip,
we
whip,
also
stir,
have Baby
stir,
Yoda?
stir, whip, whip, stir, 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 whip.
I didn't know what you were quoting for a second because it's so bad and I blocked it out of my
Your
memory.
brain has just created a cement wall between your conscious mind and those memories. I understand.
Don't watch or do watch the holiday special. It's
It's
on YouTube.
it's worth it.
very accessible.
It's worth it.
It's so good.
So did you by any chance listen or read the leaked script for what was going to be episode 9 from the last director?
No, I have not. I wanted to. I've seen that there's videos on it. I wanted to look into it, but I have not touched it.
It seems like it would have filled more of your dreams of like a lore-based movie.
Yeah.
Because even George Lucas said his sequel trilogy was going to be, he's like, no one would like it because it would be so centered on the Force and like what the Force really was. And
That's the point. That's what we want.
Yeah, I think that would have been great. But it sounded like this version of episode 9, whether it's real or fake, maybe it's just a fan fiction script, hard to say, seemed like that was actually going to dive more into a lore-friendly Star Wars. Maybe, maybe not.
Maybe it would have subverted your expectations.
It
better.
would have
All the characters die.
It would have actually helped out with like the Force Ghost explanation too, because the books talk about it a lot, but they don't talk about it in the movies. See, that's what the movies, I think that's what kills them for me, and that's why I like the animated series so much, is because there's so much more lore and it's more fun.
Yeah.
Whereas the movies they skip over a lot of relevant stuff, like the Force Ghost thing. That just happens all of a sudden. Then they just start showing up. They don't talk about how Force Ghosts can travel through time and like all the extra things on top of that, because they work for the Force, so they won't do anything outside of it. So therefore, they can appear at any point in existence. You know, and it's like that's why when Ben says he'll become more powerful than he could ever imagine. That's what he's talking about, you know? Just all the stuff that he can do. I mean, Yoda calls down lightning to strike the tree, you know?
I feel like the worst sin, if you will, of this latest trilogy, the sequel trilogy, is that it relies so heavily on extra material, books, comics, whatever, which would be fine in some sense. Like, I like that they incorporate things from TV series. I like that they incorporate. I like that they incorporate stuff from the last 2 trilogies. That's great. Yeah. But when you have to read 2 books, 3 comics, and a whole host of other things just to fill in the gaps that you didn't include in the movie, I think that's bad filmmaking.
And to also understand what's going on.
Yeah.
There's letting people figure out what's going on, and then there's entirely missing the point.
Right.
Like, and to me, it was like, oh, they're looking for triangles to.
Which you don't have a clue what that would be.
Why are there so many Star Destroyers? Because like, where's the crew that made them? Where'd they get the materials for that?
It's probably in a comic.
Yeah, well, it's because it's the remnants of the other empire, and he kept them closed, but they don't explain.
They don't explain it. Exactly.
They feed all of them for however many years.
Well, because they are actually out and about. See, that's the thing they don't touch on.
They don't touch on any of it.
That's what I'm saying as a plebe here,
right?
Yeah,
and we're
agreeing with
Star
you.
Wars. You know, we would get it, but somebody, for example, where you've only watched the movies and you don't know anything else, you're just gonna be like, why is there 30 million Star Destroyers? You know, just out of the blue.
And to be fair, when I watched it, I was kind of the same way. Even as someone who'd kept up with like the subreddits and the YouTube channels, you know, following podcasts and Instagram, whatever, I stayed up on most of the news, and even I am going, they're not explaining any of this. And I realize, if you listen to, I think we discussed this when we did the Star Wars episode with Silas, I kind of talked about how these 3 movies don't really blend with me. They feel like there was no...
It's their own entity.
Yeah, there was no overarching script that they were going off of. They're just like, well, we'll make a first movie, and then we'll make a second movie, and then a third movie, and they didn't really have like a plan of, okay, we have a character we need to get from A to B, and then the in-betweens kind of
fill in the blank.
Yeah. There wasn't really it was like the whole thing was blank. They had an A and they didn't have a B.
They had a B for the end of the movie.
Yeah. So
kinda.
That's maybe it was just a B movie.
It was a lot lower than that, but anyways.
So even as a fan,
I got that reference, but I'm not proud.
So even as a fan, I watched it and I'm like, this doesn't make sense. And so I just feel like you can not like the prequels, but at least they explain, oh no, the Trade Federation has been run by Emperor Sidious the whole time. Mind blown, you know.
And it shows the slow progression of Anakin being a complete lunatic anyways, even though he was from the get-go, except for when he was a kid.
And episode 2 is just so great because it's just, you know,
remember that scene?
It's meetings and people talking.
That's episode 1. Episode 2 is Anakin riding on a giant tick in a grass field.
And killing everything. And don't forget that. But then in episode 3...
I killed them! Not just the men. No. The women and the children too! But Anakin, I still love you.
You're a weird lady. On that note,
But I can get behind that.
on that note, let's wrap this thing up.
All right.
Good episode, guys. Been
Fantastic.
fun.
So be
Very
sure
much
to be sure to check out the Unknown Artist. I'll have all his links in the description. Do you stream regularly yet again or not quite?
Not quite yet. We were
He was a very
considering-
avid streamer at one time, so
Very.
go watch his stuff.
I
I watched a
actually
few of them. He has a podcast of his own. What's it called?
currently from both sides. It is a podcast with my father and I. We talk about, kind of like homebody topics. We talk about kind of just, I guess, not really like super controversial stuff, but just some things that kind of hit closer to home in real life.
The way you
Yeah.
explained it to me the first
Intervention.
time is the reason it's called both sides is you'll have a topic and then you do it from your Zoomer point of view and he talks
Yeah.
about it from his Boomer point of view.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so that was I thought it was a really cool idea. They have I thought it was a super high production quality, and then he was like, "No, actually, it's like all
Well,
of it."
first 3 episodes, I was using my GoPro. I didn't know that there was hidden camera settings in it because they don't tell you that. You have to like go into the little button, you have to turn it on, and then all these extra settings show up, and you're like, wow. So when I was doing it the first time, it was in like 1080p with maximum noise pollution all over the screen. It was so like the audio was great
So
because
if
I
you
used
wanna-
my interface.
If you want to go watch his stuff, start at the newest episode, not the
And
first
work your
one.
way backwards.
Yes,
Work your way
please.
backwards, and then
Kind
you
of like
go,
how they made Star Wars.
Yeah. Well,
Exactly.
the first episode's actually pretty good. It's about college. You listen to it. Don't watch it.
exactly. No, going back to your streaming.
Mhm.
What are you doing with that?
Not anything currently at the moment. I'm kind of leaving it be. I'm slowly building my stuff back up. I like doing the videos and stuff that I'm doing now. We do a lot of skits. We do gaming stuff. We do entertainments, the podcast, and I don't know, just we hit a little bit of everything. We've done some music stuff. It's a variety channel, and I have fun with it. It's because I'm a variety person. I don't like sticking to one thing.
I think they do an excellent job. They have a Discord. Do we want to
It's
just plug,
chaotic. Yeah.
plug the Discord?
Go for it if you want to. It's
fun.
chaotic.
Again,
Basically, all the links to your stuff's
everything
going
will
to
be down in the
in the
description down
description.
below if you're interested in watching his stuff. Next week we're actually going to be on his channel. So not next week, but at some point we're going to be at his
Sometime
channel.
soon.
Sometime
same
soon.
bat times, maybe the same bat channel.
I know.
Who knows?
But
We
be
don't
sure-
even know.
but be sure to check out the Unknown Artist. You can check us out on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and PodBean, and you can watch us here on YouTube, James Fox Podcast.
Give me one
Be
voice.
sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram to keep updated on what's going on. You can email us as well at thispodcastislava@gmail.com if you want a coaster or a sticker. They're on the floor.
Or if you want us to torture James with more Star Wars conversations, leave a comment saying, torture James with more Star Wars
Yes,
conversations.
if you want more Star Wars, if there's anyone watching Star
Hashtag
Wars
James
stuff,
for Star Wars.
exactly.
Oh, no.
we're not popular enough to.
We're not popular enough to even get comments, but that's okay
No.
because you know what? We're having fun doing this.
We're having a lot of fun.
I'm having fun. Are you
I
having
mean-
fun?
So this has been 3 white guys talking about Star Wars in a room by ourselves. 2 of us are actually married, so I don't have any proof
And
of
I'm
that.
single.
He's single and ready to mingle, ladies. Maybe.
Especially if
Maybe.
you've killed the women and the children too.
And if you hate sand.
And if you hate sand, so your dating profile is just going to be Anakin.
Thanks for joining us. Bye.